To go ahead and introduce our speaker tonight, Mary Taylor. She is she's actually works with the state maintenance office, DOT office, and she is a graduate of Oglethorpe College here in Atlanta, originally from South Carolina. She is actually a project manager, not an engineer. So she's actually here to help you all uh, win business with the DOT through their contract process, and that's what she's going to talk to us tonight. I'll be looking at the Q&A if you have any questions, and I'll let Mary know if I have any questions. Mary, I want to remind you that you are muted, so make sure you unmute yourself, and we're ready to go. It's all yours.
Awesome, awesome. So thank you, Neil. Thank you very much for that introduction. Yes, thank you all for your attendance here. This is the Expand Your Business with DOT Contracts session. I will be go over a lot of contract opportunities within GDOT, but I just wanted to preference it that it's going to be based on contract opportunities out of the state maintenance office. I may touch on a few other contract opportunities. If you have questions about those, as Neil stated, you're more than welcome to ask those throughout the training session. I do not request that you wait until the last minute or at the end of the session. Just send your message in through your question in through the chat box, and Neil will interrupt me and let me know what those questions are, and I will do my best to answer those for you. So with that, let's jump right into it. Let's see. Let me share my screen. This was so much easier earlier. Now it's here we are. How's that? Are we all set? No, can you see the screen? Are you able to see my PowerPoint?
Yeah, Mary, I sorry about that. I should have set you up there. Perfect. We see it perfectly.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that. All right. So, as Neil stated, my name is Mary Taylor. I am State Maintenance Office Engineer. I do work within engineering capacity, but I'm not the State Maintenance Engineer. That is, we do have state maintenance engineer. His name is Andy Doyle. He is responsible for all of the state maintenance engineering activities. My office works more directly with contract management. As Neil stated, I graduated from Oglethorpe University. I am a certified project manager, and I'm also a certified public buyer. Um, I work out of the Atlanta office whenever we can get back into it. It's going on a year since we've been in the office, but our office is located downtown across from the Bank of America building. It is walking distance to the varsity, although that's not a place that we would eat at often, contrary to popular belief when people find it that we're that close. Just not a thing for me. Let's see. I worked for GDOT since 2014. I started out in the Office of Procurement where I worked on some very exciting projects. I've seen many projects from innovative technology where I worked on the scope of work and developed the scope of work for the Office of Transportation for integrated technology, the connected vehicle technology, all the way to working with the Office of Material and Testing on their various needs as well. So I've worked on some very exciting projects. I've seen some successes, I've seen some failures. I've witnessed and reviewed some proposals that should have been awarded, but unfortunately they made some very simple mistakes. But it's taught us a lot. Um, what else? I've mostly worked on contracts out of the maintenance office. So it's no surprise I was promoted in 2019 to the state maintenance office engineer position. I believe that was due more so in part to my contribution with their procurements and their contracts, making sure that the contracts were not only beneficial to the department, but also to the contractors as well. So within this current role, I worked on developing the routine maintenance program that we're going to talk about more so today. Let's see, what else do I want to mention here? So one of my many roles includes handling the contract management activities, but that includes handling contract disputes, performance issues, working on resolutions with contractors. Um, overseeing the routine maintenance qualification program, where I actually serve as the chairperson for the routine maintenance qualification committee. So I think that pretty much sums up my role within GDOT currently. So welcome again. But before we begin, let's just go over just some basic rules. Now, these rules were based on more so face-to-face format. That's not the case here. However, it's good common practice to go ahead and set your phones on silence. I believe you're all on mute, so that's not going to interrupt me, but we don't want anything to distract from your learning opportunities here. As well, don't text and learn. You're going to miss out on some really valuable information if you find yourself distracted texting while we're in this session. And again, as Neil stated, and I stated before, I would like this to be as interactive as possible in this virtual setting. Ask questions along the way, we'll answer them. I do want to note that while all questions are answered, I am limited in the type of questions that I can answer. It is important to keep in mind that the State Maintenance Office team has a lot of subject matter experts in a lot of different areas, from landscaping to we have actual arborists on the team. We have engineers dedicated to design policies. So since those individuals are not on this call, I may have to defer answering some of those questions until a later time. If that happens to be the case, I will let you know, and I will provide the answers to Neil to hopefully make available with this presentation at a later time, or even you can send me an email. My contact information is available to you, and I can provide your answers that way. All right. So let's talk about the objective of this course. So one of the objectives here is understanding the routine maintenance bidding opportunities. Again, like I said, our discussion will focus on opportunities available under the routine maintenance program. We would, I apologize, I have a puppy that is upstairs if you hear that noise in the background. We will cover topics that will improve your success for becoming a qualified contractor within the State Maintenance Office, locating and receiving bid information, and tips that will hopefully make you successful in becoming qualified. And if you are successful in becoming qualified, actually winning a bid. Again, like I said, since I'm here representing the Office of Maintenance, I can only really discuss the routine maintenance program itself. However, I will touch on some other contract opportunities that you will find beneficial in your exploring opportunities within GDOT, and also provide you with the resources to explore that a little more on your own time. You also know how to increase your chances for winning a bid, like I said, and understanding what information is important to us. I think that becomes really essential as you are reviewing the bidding opportunities, to know what exactly we're looking for, so that you will be successful your first round going through your bidding opportunities or becoming qualified. And again, you will know what resources are available to you and also where to find those. So our agenda today is an overview of the State Maintenance Office, discussing the routine maintenance categories, the pre-qualification process, and the ITB process. I understand that some of these acronyms or these terms may not be familiar to you at this point, but by the time we're done, you will understand what those are. So, overview of the State Maintenance Office. Our responsibilities include, as you see here, overseeing statewide roadway striping and maintenance program through our MAU unit that is located in Forest Park. We oversee overall statewide maintenance. We manage statewide pavement preservation program. We also manage the roadside enhancement and beautification program. If you're not familiar with what that is a program where we actually offer grants to local agencies and local municipalities to beautify certain sections of their right-of-way within their locations. We maintain the grounds and facilities at all state welcome centers and rest areas. We actually have a separate landscaping contract for each one of those locations. We are responsible for the upkeep of the entire facilities as well. We develop contracts for letting and maintenance projects such as roadway resurfacing, culvert extension, and bridge painting. We also maintain the standards for district herbicide, mowing programs, and landscaping. So just to give you a little more about what drives us, our office values include safety first and foremost, value to the public, That becomes important as we're putting out these contract opportunities. If we cannot determine that these opportunities first and foremost provide value to the public, it may be something we reconsider as offering. I apologize. Building up with others is an important thing for us within our team. We want to make sure that all of us have the same understanding of opportunities and feel a sense of importance within our organization. And then communication, first and foremost. Let's see. So to illustrate why communication is important to us, I have a little story about asking the 5 whys and getting to the root cause of most problems and how communication becomes important. So if you never heard the story about the Washington Monument and how it was disintegrating, it's an interesting thing when you start asking questions. So there's a theory that says if you ask 5 questions, you're likely to get to the root cause of it. So to illustrate this, we use the Washington Monument example. So again, the issue was the monument was disintegrating. Now that's a common maintenance problem, right? But why was it disintegrating? Well, the first response was the use of harsh chemicals. Seemed pretty standard. But after switching up using harsh chemicals, it didn't seem to change the problem. It continued to disintegrate. Well, why use harsh chemicals? Well, to clean pigeon poop. And that location in the Washington area, there's a lot of pigeons. So yeah, it's just common. So you really need to use harsh chemicals to get that up. Okay, well, why so many pigeons? Well, they eat the spiders, and there are a lot of spiders present. Well, why so many spiders? They eat the gnats, and there are a lot of gnats at present. Okay, again, why so many gnats? They're attracted to the light at dusk. So if we just stop there asking the first question, all of our resources would have been put into an issue that wasn't actually the problem. Actually getting to the root cause of the problem, identifying the light at dusk, actually saves time and resources and money by actually being able to attack the root cause of the issue. And that's what we do within State Maintenance Office. We identify the root cause of problems by communicating with our contractors and our internal teams to make sure that we are being good stewards of taxpayer dollars and actually providing resources that bring value to the public. And our final value is customer service. We remind ourselves that our ultimate objective is servicing our customers, and that is the traveling public of Georgia and citizens within Georgia. So services we provide. We provide district support. State Maintenance Office exists primarily to provide district support. We do that through maintaining communication with each one of these districts you see. It's divided within 7 locations, with our office being located within District 7. District 7 operates as its own district, while State Maintenance Office oversees activities of all those districts. We develop statewide policies that assist each district in their daily operation. We coordinate emergency response services as well. We create ITB service categories, establish qualified contractor lists, and we also develop the routine maintenance service categories. So let's get into what the routine maintenance is itself. Historically, GDOT has performed most of the routine maintenance with internal crews. Over the years, we found that most of these services have been outsourced. So in general, routine maintenance services is for preventive maintenance only. Preventive maintenance examples include, examples of activities that are not preventive maintenance is activities executing encroachment permits, activities related to grid preservation and removal of shielding of roadside obstacles. Routine maintenance services is not resurfacing, restoration, or rehabilitation. It's also not reconstruction. Reconstruction projects generally are more complex in scope and carry a higher cost than the preventive maintenance contracts. But routine maintenance can be long-term contracts. Then they also can be short-term, which we usually execute in the form of an ITB. So currently, some of our routine maintenance services are fencing, landscaping, PCC rehab, tree cutting, and vegetation removal. Now, take a note that I do have some items highlighted in green. That is because those categories are going to be talked about a little more in detail later, but they have dual contracting opportunities. They can be awarded on a short-term basis under the ITB, which stands for Invitation to Bid, or a long-term contract, which I'll go into a little more detail soon. We also have herbicide contracts, again, highlighted in green, bridge maintenance, preventive maintenance preservation, pavement preservation, traffic signal maintenance, mowing, short line pavement, sound barrier, drainage rehabilitation, and guardrail maintenance. Every year, the districts do pre-planning to determine just what type of ITBs and routine maintenance response plans that they are going to put out for the year. So this chart here shows you just in general what the plan is intending to issue for ITBs and the short-term contracts. As you can see, 70% of those contracts statewide are planned for 2001 of pavement preservation, but there are some activities that fall into the other category. We have a chart here that shows how that is broken down. You can see that vegetation, the dollar amount there planned for this fiscal year is $800,000. Tree cutting currently is $200,000. Now this chart is available to you online, and I thought I had a link here, but there is a link soon to follow. One thing to keep in mind that this is an annual plan and it is updated every year, but it is based on projects that are known at that time. This does not include emergency operations or any other needs that are discovered throughout the year. So it is just based on pre-planning activities. It is subject to change as we continue through the year. So the qualification process. So as I stated earlier, GDOT outsources most of its routine maintenance work. As a result, GDOT has recognized the need to get this work awarded faster. So in an effort to make the qualification process easier and faster for both the contractors and GDOT, a streamlined approach has been created. This streamlined approach applies to most of the categories that I mentioned, but some categories do not fit into the streamlined process. So for those activities that do not fall into the streamlined process, they fall into more so long-term contracts. Those were the contracts that I had highlighted in green: your landscaping, mowing, and herbicide. Now, there may be cases in which your landscaping, herbicide, and mowing contracts may be awarded on more of a short-term basis, but typically these contracts involve the two-step process, which means we identify that particular procurement separate from the short-term process, and we design those questions separately. It is a greater qualification requirement. The contracts are awarded on an annual basis with renewal options if performance meets our expectation. They may be awarded a single contract statewide or 7 contracts, 1 per district. They are typically owned and funded by the state maintenance office. Due to the type of risk, most of these contracts are ongoing in nature, and the contracts require more time to develop. So this does not fall into the streamlined process that I mentioned. So for the long-term contracts, this will be an example of a question that you would see for one of those mowing, landscaping, or herbicide contracts that are awarded more on a long-term basis. We're asking questions to make sure that the contractor who would be responsible for essentially managing all those mowing activities or landscaping opportunities fully understands what public safety means to us, making sure that this is an exact question that you would likely see when one of those procurements. We want to see in your response that you actually understand the MUTCD minimum requirements. You have a plan for incident management and resolution. So should you have a chemical spill of some sort or an accident while working on a roadway, we want to see in your response that you have identified a plan and you understand actually how to respond to those situations, as well as making sure that you hire and put only employees who do not pose a risk to the general public as well. Your response is expected to answer all of those questions to give us the confidence that you understand what safety means as it relates to public safety. So another example you would see that we talk about on safety is related to your employee safety. It's not just a matter of making sure that the traveling public is safe or GDOT personnel is safe. We want to know that you understand what safety means for your personnel. What type of PPE equipment are you utilizing and making available to your employees? Which OSHA compliance standards are you aware of and you're actually applying in your workplace? Do you provide the protective guards necessary to secure equipment and making sure that no debris flies into the roadway or anything of that? First aid procedures. Typically, the most reason why contractors fail in this case is because they do not answer those questions. We receive a lot of proposals that offer a lot of words, but unfortunately does not answer the question. So I'm sharing these type of questions with you to let you know what GDOT values and what we're looking for in these long-term contracts. Just to distinguish, before we go into detail, the ITBs and the qualification question for that particular section of routine maintenance, what distinguishes the difference for long-term contracts versus the short-term? Okay, so the most interesting and most popular program of ours is a qualification for the short-term projects. Now, again, as I stated, as a qualified contractor for the short-term projects, you become ITB eligible. ITB eligible means you will receive an invitation to bid on that category for which you have been deemed qualified. This is the streamlined process that I mentioned. Prior to using this method, we utilized the same method for the long-term contracts. A typical timeline for that has been 6 to 9 months. This streamlined process has averaged getting contracts awarded within 30 to 45 days. Often it depends on the dollar value, but I have a chart that I will share with you to share a little more information about that. It is a shorter posting time. The procurement essentially remains open. Submittal of the qualifications is monthly and it can be submitted electronically. It allows for faster review time. And again, evaluations are on a standing monthly basis. As I said earlier, I'm the chairperson for the Routine Maintenance Committee that evaluates all of the responses we see. And we do see those on a monthly basis. If we had to use the same process for the long-term contracts, we would not be able to get these out as frequently. Work would be severely delayed. So this has improved our efficiency a lot. Here you see the standard application deadline, committee meeting dates, and the date in which, if you are qualified, that qualification list would be posted. So as you see, we have a committee meeting tomorrow. So applications received before February 1st will be reviewed, and those qualified contractors will be published on February 19th. Now, this is a calendar, these are dates that are made available to you online. They are subject to change based on committee availability, and it is typically the second Wednesday every month. If that second Wednesday happens to fall on a holiday, it will be pushed to the day before or the day after, a worst case scenario, the following week. So there are two different types of applications. One application covers all service areas, But for some reason, it gets a little tricky for our contractors when they're completing this. So I'm going to go over with you the different type of contracts for the qualified contractor applications. The first one is for existing GDOT construction pre-qualified contractor and registered subcontractors. This means that if you are a contractor that has been pre-qualified by the GDOT Office of Construction, you do not have to prove to us that you are qualified to do that particular category of work. Essentially saying, if construction has deemed you qualified to do that type of work on the construction side of the house, then you're automatically qualified on the routine maintenance side. We just need to get your paperwork in to document that, right? Unfortunately, it's easy, but it's not that easy. We're looking to make sure that you have been qualified under that particular workload code that matches the applicable routine maintenance category. What that means is, if you are applying for a vegetation or tree cutting qualification, you must have this particular work code already. You must be qualified with under the construction side of the house with this particular work code. If you happen to have approval or deemed qualified as a pre-construction contractor for soil and cement construction, so your work code is 301, and you submit the application, your application would be rejected. We see this happen a lot, so I wanted to take time to make sure I explain this to you, just in case it helps you and you happen to fit into this category. Let's see. So if for some reason you want to apply, if you do have this category approval, and you also have work code approval for, I'm sorry, but you don't have work code approval for, say, pavement preservation, you would need to submit a new application for pavement preservation. So in that case, you will be submitting two applications, one as an existing construction contractor for the category in which you have the applicable routine maintenance category work code, and one for a brand new one for which you do not. All right, so just a little note, reminder, do use the existing application if you are a pre-qualified construction contractor and you have the matching code. Do not use this application if you do not have the matching code. So for the new application, that is your standard application. Again, as I stated before, we've attempted to streamline this process for you. It is not as stringent as the long-term contract application. The long-term contract application, you may see up to, we don't have a limit on how many questions, but you can see most of the time we have anywhere from 10 to 25 different questions, because we really need to get a good idea of your company's capabilities. In the term of the, with the short-term contracts, since it's very little risk, most of these contracts do not go beyond a year. If they ever go to a year, most of the time if they go a year, it's because the scope of work maybe was just a little too big for this project, for this particular means of procurement, or there's been some delays due to weather. But what you see here is the actual requirement for the tree cutting, pruning, and removal services category. We are looking for you to provide us with enough information to make us comfortable that you have enough experience within the last 5 years, and you can demonstrate that. If you are looking at this application and you cannot provide 3 current or previous tree cutting contracts or projects within the last 5 years, unfortunately, you would not qualify. Your application would be rejected. We are looking specifically to see that you can describe 3 projects relating to tree cutting, removal, and pruning maintenance services within the last 5 years. We're also looking to see that it has been performed for a public entity somewhere along the right-of-way, not necessarily within the state of Georgia, but showing that you have experience doing it on the public right-of-way. We're also looking to see that you actually provided an equipment list in your personnel to show that you have enough personnel at any time we may need in responding to one of these ITBs to be able to perform the work. That list could be a list of equipment that you currently have, a list of equipment that you're leasing. We just need to see that you are in possession of that equipment and you are in possession of the right type of equipment. If you are applying for a tree cutting qualification, but you only have 2 mowers, this may not be the category you need to be applying for. Uh, Traffic control experience. Again, this goes back to our concern with safety. We need to make sure that you fully understand and have experience doing this type of work in the roadside or right of way using right of way traffic control. And again, as I stated before, we're looking for a detailed description of your safety policies, procedures, training requirements, seeing that you are familiar with the proper OSHA safety standards and labeling necessary for all of the equipment and PPE that you will be using if you are awarded an ITB. Because these procurements go through very quickly, the districts typically do not have time to go through and verify these things. This is why we do it in the beginning so that we can quickly get these contracts awarded. So this is a chart that just shows you what's in blue are the number of applications we received throughout the year 2020. Green, the number of approved, and in gray are the ones are denied. Unfortunately, in July, August, November, and December, we've denied more than we've approved. So Neil, do you have that poll ready?
Yeah, Mary, I do. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and launch that for you.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So what do you think is the number one reason applications are rejected?
Well, we're waiting for some of those to come in, Mary. There was one question, and it has to do with the type of work that you guys contract out.
Okay.
And the question has to do with are there any opportunities for consulting work on DOT projects? So, as arborists, we just don't do the physical production, but sometimes also just consult on whether a tree's a problem or something like that.
Ah, I see. Yes. Um, so there may be opportunities. There's none that I'm aware of currently, but we do have consulting contracts that the state maintenance office does have. Currently, they're more specialized in um, drainage and general inspection engineering. We do currently have a certified arborist on our staff under our landscape architecture unit. Um, so if there is a need soon, we would probably work with that arborist to get that contract in place.
Great.
I will share with you as we near the end of this presentation, how to find those opportunities. And also I will touch on how to get registered so that you can receive notifications.
Sounds good. It looks like the answers are kind of a toss up here. I'm curious what the real answer is.
Okay. All right. So I still see just the question. I don't know if we're still giving.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Here we go. This is my first time doing the poll. Can you see it now?
Nope.
So what is the number of reasons what is the number one reason applications are rejected? I apologize for that. Not submitted on time. 25% answered that. incomplete, 38% answered incomplete, failed to answer question, 38% failed to answer the question. No one thought poor format was the reason.
Well, for those of you that answered, failed to answer the question or incomplete, you are correct. It is usually a combination of that. As I said, oftentimes what we receive sounds more like a sales pitch. We're not looking for you to sell yourself. We're looking for you to prove yourself. We're asking questions that there it is. We're asking questions to demonstrate to us that you know, one, how to interpret our scopes of work, because each one of these categories has a general scope of work. So you know what we're looking for, the type of work we're looking for. So we're asking questions that tie directly to that scope of work. So if you do not answer that question, so if we ask you a question, like I said, about safety, but you fail to actually tell us about your safety, you just tell us about your accomplishments, that's not going to get you a contract awarded. If you submit an additional 500 pages, and I'm sorry, you just gave us 500 pages to read, it's not going to give you any more credit if we can't actually find those answers. All right, great. All right. So the list of qualified contractors, as I stated before, will be posted on GDOT's website right shortly after the committee has reviewed each application. And as you saw, some months we receive a lot of applications, some months we receive very little. We do receive a combination of those already pre-qualified under the construction side. And we also receive a lot of new applications. We are eager to get in as many contractors as possible so that there is competition within the workforce. We want to see these projects executed in the best way, and the best way to do that is to have competition. But unfortunately, we have some contractors that make very simple mistakes. Once a contractor is qualified, however, you will be issued what we refer to as an MSA. It's a master service agreement. Once that master services agreement is executed, you are officially a qualified contractor, which makes you eligible to bid on ITB. There may be some rules within procurement that says that MSA must be executed before you can bid, but if that is the case, it's because the master service agreement governs the rules related to your ITB. So if you win an ITB, your MSA must be actually executed first. It is the ITB's invitation to bid is issued to only qualified contractors. While all of our ITBs are public, because we are a state agency, it is public information. Only those who are qualified will receive invitations to actually be able to bid. Okay. So for more information about each of these service categories, I've highlighted where to find that on our website. Right on the bottom, you will see the actual website. And Neil, you did say that PowerPoint will be published and made available after this presentation?
Yes, we will be publishing that under our presentations, and I will send you an email to all the people that are registered here tonight for that, for both the video and your presentation, as well as a evaluation. Thank you.
Great. All right. So let's move on to the invitation to bid. So now that you're qualified, right? So anyone here who has not gone through this process, if you're not qualified and you're looking to get qualified, this is where your opportunities begin. So again, as I stated before, it is for preventive maintenance activities only. You must have the maintenance service agreement executed before the ITB can actually be executed. These opportunities are issued out of the district. They do issue these opportunities electronically. Again, it's by invitation only, so they do actually select all of the qualified contractors based on their names and email addresses appearing on the qualified contractor list. And it is ultimately managed by the district procurement managers. So some key points to keep in mind. Again, it's issued by the district. It's short-term in nature. Most of these opportunities aren't intended to last beyond 9 months. Sometimes they go a little longer just because of weather. There may be some discovery items, but it's not intended to go beyond a year. Every ITB is different. What you see here on the screen, this image here is just a template. There's some general terms and conditions that are required by our legal department and also by state maintenance office to make sure that you're in compliance with general state maintenance standards and specifications. But the scope of work within each is different. And again, as I stated before, it's governed by the master service agreement. The typical processing time for each one of these, if it's under 250,000, it can be on the streets for a minimum of 2 weeks. So that means if you blink, sometimes you may miss an opportunity. $200,000, $250,000 or more, a minimum of 15 calendar days. If it is complex in nature, and we've had some really complex vegetation removal projects, it is suggested that it's posted for more than 30 days. So you may see those posted a little longer. Site visits, pre-bid meetings, question and answer periods may also necessitate additional time. And again, that's for more of those more complex opportunities.
Mary, I have a question from Javier Granado. He asks, how does one gain experience in an area that would prove to GDOT our abilities? So do you guys have like set, I mean, is it just credentials, or do you have your own credentials that you ask people to have, or how does that exactly work?
So if you go back to the slide where I showed there's on the website, the routine maintenance service category requirements, the requirements are stated within that link on the website. It does specify the minimum requirements, certain certification that may be required. We do understand that there are some businesses that are wanting to just get their foot in the door. That the list of pre-qualified contractors is made public. We often suggest that you contact one of those contractors who's currently working to see if you can sub with them to gain experience that way. We highly encourage that. That same website offers a link to current construction qualified contractors. You can reach out to them as well. This advertisement link here that I'm showing you, you can always view it to see which contract opportunities were awarded. And through the open record process, if that information isn't made public on this link, you can always contact someone within GDOT to find out who's the current contractor for that and get their contact information and network with them and see if you can get some subcontracting opportunities. Most of our contracts do allow for subbing. We do have some that may limit it up to 35%, but that has been the most effective way for a lot of our contractors to get that experience. So I hope that answered your question and offered you some.
Yeah, I think the subcontracting is particularly interesting that you guys encourage that just to get your foot in the door. William Smith asks, how does your workers' compensation experience modification affect your ability to meet qualifications for DOT projects? Can you qualify with above a 1.0x mod? I'm not sure what that means, but
I'm not sure I know what that means either. It sounds like I may need to take that through our legal department. I don't know if we ask any questions specifically related to workers' compensation module, if that's what I heard correctly.
yes.
Okay. The only question we've ever asked in the past about workers' compensation is whether or not you have that particular coverage on your insurance. So I'm not sure if you.
I think a 1.0 is probably, I'm just going to guess here, is like the minimum, or maybe you have 3 workers or under, or maybe just at 3 workers where you have to have workman's comp. I guess it's really a smaller company that's maybe running just 1 crew.
That might be something for us to explore in the qualifications if that does give more of an opportunity for smaller businesses. I would like a little more information about that. So if you can give me, I don't know if whoever asked.
Yeah, William, if you want to flesh that out a little bit more, if we haven't answered it properly, please post again. And oh, I actually know this one. John Snow asked, since we're in a question mode right now, who is the staff DOT arborist? He's actually he's on this call today, I believe.
Yes. Oh, he doesn't have the ability to speak up. So that would be Richard Littleton. So he's not in the arborist capacity. He's our agronomist. As official title. Sorry, Richard, if I'm putting too much out there for you. But we typically go to Richard for any of our questions regarding arborist matters.
There was one other arborist that I spoke with today from DOT. I'll get him to come in. I'll get that name later.
Sure, sure. But I work more so with Richards. I'm not sure of the other person. I'm sorry. If I am and I'm forgetting your name, forgive me.
All right, proceed. Thank you for
Sure.
answering those questions.
Sure. All right. I think I need to go back. All right. So I wanted to highlight this slide for a second because all of Georgia's, and not just DOT, but all of Georgia public agencies, state agencies in particular, post their bid opportunities through this website. So if you're not familiar with it, I highly, highly encourage you to visit this link and get registered as a supplier. Department of Administrative Services, also known as DOAS, offers a lot of training opportunities for you to get registered. Once you're registered here as a supplier, you will receive bid opportunities from all state agencies, not just DOT. So I wanted to make sure I highlighted that here. But if you're looking for opportunities specific to GDOT, and you can search by keyword, you want to make sure that you have State Maintenance Office as a government, sorry, not State Maintenance Office, Department of Transportation as a government entity selected. But first you would have to make sure you have state government as a government type selected as well. Change the event process type to all, as well as the event status. And that would bring up all of the bid opportunities awarded, canceled throughout time. I'm not sure how long they keep these here, but you can see here, there's some that goes back as far as 2018, just based on tree search criteria. Once you find the one that you're interested in, the way DOTs are structured, T32 refers to the state law in which we're authorized to do this procurement. D3 is the district for which this procurement is based out of. And a short description of what they're looking to be performed is also provided here, and along with the location. In the description, there's general information about the procurement, but also the buyer contact information. Once you find this invitation to bid, if you have questions about it, you would need to contact the buyer that's listed. No one else within DOT is allowed really to answer any question once you see this advertisement posted. And that is from the time it starts to the time it's actually awarded. Again, you're likely only to receive notification from DOT if you're qualified for that category. If you feel you were not included in ERA, please contact that buyer as soon as possible to make sure that you receive it. If they did inadvertently leave you off, they will likely extend it to give you an opportunity to submit your bid. All right, so going into resources. This is our main site for all of our routine maintenance activities and information. We provide the application for new contractors, existing. There's also the list of qualified contractors and our manual, which goes into details more about the program, and a description on the service category requirements, as long as the transportation, in addition to the Transportation Act information that led to the creation of this. We also break it down for you in how to get qualified and how to register as a sourcing bidder, which NIP code to select to make sure you receive the notification for that particular category, and also how to submit future bids. We also offer a host of other resources as well. There is a link to the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, information about the Verify program, and also a link to Team Jordan Marketplace where you can actually search for bids. So that concludes everything that I had to discuss with you today. Do we have any other remaining questions?
Yeah, so William Smith clarified his question, and he states your experience modification is a number used by insurance companies to gauge both past cost of injuries and future chances of risk. The lower the EMR of your business, the lower your worker compensation insurance premiums will be. An EMR of 1.0 is considered the industry average. So,
Gotcha. Gotcha. So at this time, we haven't actually explored using that for the routine maintenance categories. I've only seen it used once, and that was for our emergency debris hauling solicitation, in which that was contractors responding to um, debris generating events as a result of a hurricane or a tornado. Um, it is something we could explore. It is something we could explore, especially if it provides more opportunities for smaller businesses to get their foot in the door. We've never considered that before, but that is a good question.
yeah, it seems like an interesting measure that could help qualify uh, without much work on the person that's applying because they already have that. And so I don't know. It's something to think about.
It
Thank you,
is.
William, for that nice question. Uh,
It's not likely to um, be something we would use instead of asking all of the other questions, but it might be something we can use in addition to help us reach a decision if the company is not able to demonstrate as much as a more experienced company.
is there a place to put other information that you don't ask for?
It's usually buried within the response somewhere.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Uh, Great. So Quentin asks, what is the minimum amount of insurance required for DOT contracts?
Oh, that would be something I have to provide to you later. It's pretty standard, but sometimes it varies depending on the actual service. We take guidance from DOAS, Department of Administrative Services, um, but we also take a little bit of guidance from the State Tort Act. So I'm definitely willing to share that information with you, but I just don't I have it with me right now.
Great. And then William Smith also adds, in many cases, having an experience mod over 1.0 can affect your ability to win contracts. May not be the case for TOT work, which seems to be true. Um,
In this case, for the routine maintenance, yes. It may
yeah.
be something that the construction side of the house uses more. Um, Possibly something that is used a little more as well, and maybe not for the consultants. But I can definitely see it used more on the construction side of the house. But just for general routine maintenance operations, it has not been a requirement. It would be more so a requirement for the longer term contracts where there's higher risk and higher risk of default or injury to the traveling public.
Great. Well, unless there's any other questions here, I've tried to. If Mary, if you could take a moment to answer the questions, that would be great. I'd appreciate that. That if you look under Q&A, and I tried to answer as many as I could, but if you could address the ones that are outstanding, that would be perfect.
Gotcha.
And in closing, I am going to send out an evaluation that I hope you guys fill out. I was hoping that I could do that quickly here. Let me just see if I can. No. I will go ahead and email it to everybody within the next 24 hours. And I'll also email you where the video and the presentation is as well. You Mary, why don't you put your first slide? Sorry to make you multitask. If you could put your first slide up with your contact information, so people could ask you if that's okay. Of
Sure.
course, and you can go to our website under. By the way, we've recorded all our last presentations in the last year, so there might be other things that you want to view. You cannot get a CEU for it, but there was some very good information at this meeting as well as previous meetings that you can go back and check out on your own. I tried to edit out my rambles, so hopefully you don't have to listen to that, and it just goes right to the meat of the topic.
It looks like the only one we may not have answered is Jon Snow. Are the rules and procedures on the construction side of the house similar to this? Similar in that we modeled much of what we're doing from the construction side of the house, but the requirements are different. Um, I can provide you with the link to their procedures and policies, but I cannot answer those questions because I don't work out of construction. I work, I don't want to give you information that actually is not what they intended.
Thanks, Mary. So I'm going to go ahead and put an invitation. I'm just going to try this out for you all. And I'll put, let me go ahead and I'm going to put, pardon me while I complete this, my webinar. I'm going to go ahead and send a meeting for, the only way I can figure out to do this is to, I'll send you the invitation to a meeting where you can all join, and it is now open. So if you want to go and talk with a couple people that you see or whatever, we will meet there for a half hour or whatever. You can bring your favorite beverage, whatever that might be. It might be water. It could be, I'm really into kombucha these days or beer. So I'm going to put that right here. Let's see. It'll be in the chat. Oh, I got to do it to everybody, all attendees. Nope, it didn't cut and paste. I'm going to try it one more time. Okay. Mary, I really want to thank you for your time tonight. Excellent information. And all those links to our website will be there for you guys to go back and review. And it seems like an excellent opportunity to expand your work production, especially. Is there a cycle in the work in terms of summer, winter, fall, or is it pretty much spread out through the year?
It's pretty much spread out throughout the year.
So if you're running through a slow season, typically that's in our winter. That might be a great opportunity to apply for some of these contracts. Let's see if it works. Well, I cannot get this to work tonight, so I apologize. If you guys just want to hang out and talk without seeing your pictures while I figure it out, you're welcome to. I'll keep the meeting open for the next 15 minutes. Otherwise, you're all off the hook. You will get your CEUs. Mary, do you have any last points to make?
I do not. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right. Now take care of your puppy.
I will. Thank you.
What kind of puppy is it, by the way?
He's a little pit bull.
Oh, nice. All right. I'm sure he's a handful.
He is. Thank you
All
all.
right. Thank you. Bye. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys speak as I go through your thing here. Let's see, got to close that. Okay, here we go. I'm going to allow you all to talk. Don't all talk at once. Gary, we got a swamp white oak for Hugh, and it's a 4-incher, so I think it will be really nice.
Sounds good, Neil.
And the city's really involved in it, the city of Chattahoochee Hills. So there are going to be some officials there. Once again, that's February 26th, 11 a.m.